This is Christian Kirk with the Arizona Cardinals, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from pristineauction.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. So happy to be here, joined by Jason and Mike. I'm Andy Holloway, and this is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you Tuesday, April 30th. So much to talk about, so exciting. The times are very exciting, Mike.
We could do a whole show and not even talk about football.
Yeah, you're still riding high on Game of Thrones.
Oh, not just Thrones.
Oh, Avengers.
Yeah, I'm everything, man.
NFL draft.
Everything is everything right
Life
now.
is very good right now.
I really have nothing to look forward to anymore.
Well, that goes for you maybe, but not our listeners, not the UDK supporters. The rookie and dynasty rankings. The rookie and dynasty rankings are in the Ultimate Draft Kit right now. As promised, we've had time to digest all of the happenings from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the NFL draft, the fantasy football implications. I'm so excited to talk about winners and losers. Today we're talking through the NFC teams. And when I say winners or losers, it's really not even talking about necessarily which rookies went where, but which rookies affect other players on these teams. There were some big-time winners based on, competition not being drafted.
Right.
For where they line up.
Oh, I mean, I was holding my breath the entire draft every time Oakland was on because, I just had a dynasty startup and draft Derek Carr. His whole career can change in the blink of an eye. Is he?
I like that he goes to Derek Carr. Meanwhile, Damian Williams skyrockets to a top 10.
Meanwhile, Darrell Henderson drafted directly behind Todd Gurley.
Look,
so much to talk about. But I get what you're saying, because if Dwayne Haskins is drafted by Oakland, Derek Carr's career is done by way of fantasy starterville, probably. So,
eloquent,
yes. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go.
So much.
And there's a lot of news to cover on today's show as well.
So there's news. All right.
So stay tuned. Do not miss it. We also want to kick things off with a big announcement. And nothing says big announcement like
a
tiny
little fugle horn.
Jason is.
Do you have the flute from Willy Wonka?
Yes. Assemble.
Listen, we are we've teased it a little bit, but we're very excited to announce the People's Fantasy Tour.
Yeah.
Presented by Pristine Auction. We are coming live. This is a live podcast tour. We did it last year for the first time. We're coming coast to coast this June, July, and August. And I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know about these guys, but this is the most fun you can possibly have.
Oh, I hated it. No, I loved it. I mean, this was honestly.
It's such a cool chance to meet everybody out there that has made the Fantasy Footballers a part of your day for years. And we meet hundreds of people on this tour. We do meet and greets. We hang out for as long as possible at each venue, because it's what it's all about, the people. That's what makes fantasy football great. We are, like I said, we're hitting the road June, July, and August. Here's where we're going to be. We're going to be in Chicago.
Yes.
All right. At Thalia Hall.
Thalia Hall.
It's kicking off the tour.
We'll be in New York City at Gramercy Theater. We'll be in San Francisco at the Independent. We'll be in Los Angeles at Largo. And we'll be back here in Phoenix at the Crescent Ballroom once again. And you can head right now to ballerslive.com, and you can get more information about the live tour. We would love to see you out there. We've got some really cool things going on with this tour. And if you get in there right now, you're part of the exclusive pre-sale lottery before tickets go to general on sale. And we're really, really excited about this next part.
Super duper.
We have partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital on the entire tour. And what we're actually doing is we're making available a very limited amount of VIP tickets. All the VIP ticket options go directly to support the kids of St. Jude. VIP tickets include a meet and greet, preferred seating at the tour, and you get a signed limited edition tour poster.
Oh, Jason's got the shirt on.
Yeah, if you are on YouTube, you can see some of the tour art, and you can enter that lottery at ballerslive.com. So this is a cool chance to hang out. This is a cool chance to support a great cause with St. Jude, and I couldn't be more excited about what's going on. So hopefully we see you in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix.
All of them. We hope that when you're listening,
yes.
you start making your plans.
You can buy tickets to all 5.
5-city tour across the country.
If somebody shows up to all 5, I'll give you a medal.
That's fair.
medal?
I'll figure it out. I'll get you some kind of medal.
Mike is forging metal medallions for our listeners. So that's what's going on. Make sure you check it out.
I mean a button.
It became a button.
By a button, I mean like one of those with
Sticker. It's a sticker.
it's a dog sticker.
Yeah. Ballerslive.com. Just want to remind you.
Though.
Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league. Presented by Sleeper.
See, that was so exciting to talk about.
We were riding high for a bit.
Now we got to talk about Tyreek Hill.
Let's quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Audio's been released. The case has been reopened against Tyreek Hill. He's not partaking in any team activities. And essentially, we got word this morning via Sleeper that it's very likely he's added to the commissioner's exempt list very soon as this investigation proceeds.
And we always talk about, when you don't know what a team's going to do, look at what their actual transactions are. And obviously in the draft, their first pick, the Kansas City Chiefs' first pick, they went and drafted a Tyreek Hill comparable style of player, saying that, that could be an indication that they do not expect to keep him.
Well, and people want our opinion on this ever since the news broke. Give me a percentage chance you think Tyreek Hill plays football again. I would say it's about 5% and not with the Chiefs.
Again, I'll go maybe 5 to 10%. This year, I'm going 0%.
Yeah, I think it's a 50% chance that he plays again, but it won't be for the Chiefs. I think he'll get cut. He'll be on the exempt list. He'll be gone for a couple years, and then some team will take a gamble and a risk. And I know, but
I know.
We've seen it too many times. These teams, when there's a young, talented player, I mean, it's a shame.
Yeah, it stinks. It stinks ultimately for Tyreek Hill, the person, what his decision making, and then those impacted, the victims of this situation, his girlfriend, the child. We're just prayerful that they're in a safe situation. Yeah. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports there's a real chance that Doug Baldwin will be unable to continue playing. And the Seattle Seahawks agree by drafting 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, all the jokes we've been making over the last month or two
Baldwin,
about
you weren't supposed to do this.
Yeah, they feel worse now. We're like he's gonna be a machine.
We joked because he was gonna come back and play football, and this.
Yeah, it's not looking likely. So we'll talk through the wide receiver situation a little bit on the show today with the NFC winners and losers from the draft. There won't be an announcement soon because there are salary cap ramifications, and they said that Doug Baldwin himself will make that announcement, not the team. If he decides to retire, we know he's undergone multiple surgeries this offseason. It's not looking good. And the big man, the big lefty, Sebastian Janikowski.
Seabass.
He has retired. Seabass swimming off into the night.
That means there's only one player left from that draft class.
Oh, really?
In the NFL.
Is that Tom Brady?
It sure is. Tom Brady has outlasted them all.
Wow. And this is a 18-year retirement for Sebastian Janikowski. So a reminder, that was today's news and notes brought to you by the Sleeper app. Ask your commissioner to move over to Sleeper. Great platform for your Dynasty League, always improving. Guys, let's get into it.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win!
All right, NFC winners and losers. We're starting in the NFC West. Brooks strategically rearranged our show docs this week so that we had the opportunity to start with the NFC, and then I look in our doc and we're starting with the NFC West, and then I say, Wow, we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. Just
Deal with it.
pure coincidence.
Because they had the number 1 pick.
They had the
Right,
number 1 pick.
There you go.
And
Biggest winner, me.
yeah, Arizona fans are excited. And this was, for Arizona fans, for fantasy fans, this is a good draft. This is a draft that means that the players, the incumbents, the existing players on this roster, David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, these were players that last year was rough sledding. Bad offensive minds, bad personnel, problems. Josh Rosen was traded. Kyler Murray goes number 1 overall. They invest 2 high capital picks on wide receivers. They draft 3 wide receivers overall. Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, who was, if you remember the wide receiver show, one of my favorites, and then Keyshawn Johnson. Guys, you gave yourself a brand-new quarterback. You gave Cliff Kingsbury the guy you wanted, and then you gave him a ton of weapons in this draft. Andy Isabella ran a 4.31, fastest wide receiver. Hakeem Butler is a dynamic outside playmaker. Winners and losers from this draft, I think all the offensive players and Cardinals fantasy fans and Cardinals fans in general were winners.
Yeah, I think David Johnson is a huge winner here. You've got a new offensive mind coming in, and clearly the team said, we want to get playmakers. We want to get people that can bust things open, keep the chains moving. And while it's not going to be all roses this year, I've got them down for a good 5 wins.
It will be no Rosens.
It will be no Rosens either. Who was, you might say, a big loser in this situation.
Basically, they traded Josh Rosen for Andy Isabella.
Right. And they traded a second
Woof.
5th rounder next year as
Whoa,
well.
man.
But I mean, this is good news for David Johnson. Things will open up for him. We've talked about in the past, rushing quarterbacks a lot of times open things up for the running back. So I mean, David Johnson should be one of those top picks in the beginning of the first.
How do you feel about Christian Kirk? Christian Kirk had an okay rookie season, got hurt. Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, really the only 2 threats on that offense before this draft, and then you bring in Isabella, Butler, and Johnson. Would you classify Christian Kirk as a loser of this draft or a winner because of the Kyler Murray selection and the offense?
You'd have to call him a loser from the fact that, like,
Feels so mean.
I know, but just fantasy-wise, and that's because the air raid system now has the weapons that it needs to actually succeed. It's not force feed these 2 guys because they're the only 2 capable wide receivers on the team. So I think you have to downgrade Christian Kirk, at least what his ceiling could be, because both Isabella and Hakeem Butler, at least in my breakdown, are alpha level players. Like, these are guys that could be number 1s on their team. Hakeem Butler, 6'5", over 220. I mean, he's a beast of a man, and so you can't say that Kirk is for sure going to be the number 1 guy. It's a brand new system. It's a brand new quarterback. So he's pretty much at the ground floor with the other wide receivers.
I will say this. He's a winner and a loser because you're right. His ceiling is not what it was, but his draft cost is going to be nothing now. Whenever a team comes in and drafts 3 rookie wide receivers, you're not going to say, oh, Christian Kirk's the one. But there's a good chance this year that Christian Kirk is the one as the only veteran under the age of 34 on the roster.
Are there similarities to like how you viewed Geronimo Allison last year with the 3 incumbent rookies in Green Bay and how you might view Christian Kirk this year and the 3 rookies coming in Arizona?
I think it's a fair point because I mean it's I guess a little bit different where we haven't seen Murray and Kirk together. Right. Well, and you hadn't seen a lot
except for in college
from Geronimo. So him coming into the situation, it felt like the rookies could easily overtake him, and then he, in my opinion, took the job. So Kirk is a little bit more established, is what I'm saying, than Allison was in that scenario.
All right, before we move on to the Rams, I will say this. We kind of come at it from 3 angles with Arizona. We have our own personal fandom, just being born and raised out here, Cardinal fans. My own personal fandom has not been a Josh Rosen fan. I wasn't happy that we drafted him. You've heard me talk about it on the show. Then you have the fantasy perspective, right? And fantasy-wise, I wasn't a Josh Rosen fan. But as a person, he impressed me through this situation. People don't know this. I thought I'd mention it. After the trade, he was sent to the Dolphins. After he was traded, he still stayed out here in Phoenix, participated in the charity event for Larry Fitzgerald's softball game, and the fans out here gave him a round of applause as he left. Posted a really kind of funny, nice, respectful, classy video, and he was not complaining through this whole thing. I hope he has success in Miami. I really do.
I think this could be one of those
win-win
wins for Rosen where he doesn't have to come in now, week 1. Like, it's Fitzmagic down there, and Miami's got a plan. They're going to trust the process. And Rosen can spend a little bit more time.
You don't think Rosen ends up week 1 starter?
No, I do not.
You think, Jason?
I think he will, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Rams. There is one big storyline to talk about with Los Angeles in their draft. Obviously, we're focusing on offensive players. Jason knows what it is, and that would be the fact that the Los Angeles Rams traded up to pick up
at the very beginning of the 3rd round.
At the top of the 3rd round.
A really good player.
One of Mike and I's, I think, favorite running back in the draft, Darrell Henderson, out of Memphis. And if you are a Todd Gurley owner, it is impossible not to call this a loss, a loser situation for Todd Gurley. Coming out of the draft, obviously Malcolm Brown, big loser,
right?
If he was the perceived handcuff. But Todd Gurley, this is some high draft capital insurance for an MVP level running back. How do you feel being, you have Gurley in our dynasty league, Jason?
Yes. Please talk about that.
Look, I feel negative about it. The reality is, we just say
please talk about
it. You don't want to follow coach speak, coach saying all the great things about getting Gurley the ball. What you want to follow is transactions. What is the team doing with their money, with their capital, with their draft picks? And what they chose to do was bring back the backup, Malcolm Brown, and then trade up for a 3rd rounder and grab another running back because they are going to probably Batman and Robin this
thing. Let me set that table a little bit more for you. They brought back Malcolm Brown. They matched an offer. He went out and was desired by another team, and the Rams said, no, we can't possibly lose you. They traded up in the 3rd round. This was only their 2nd pick in the draft. So it's not like it was their 3rd pick.
Mike is really twisting the knife here.
They already addressed some needs. They had a big need, apparently. That was a running back.
Yeah, don't say big knee, because big knee, that's a different thing. Here's the thing. We just put up our dynasty rankings, our rookie rankings. It is very difficult, no matter what side of the fence you are on with Gurley's health. It's super difficult to rank him in dynasty formats right now.
Yes.
Because you just don't know what's true and what's false.
I was staring down.
And maybe you know more now, or maybe they're just insuring themselves with a more dynamic player, a pass catcher in Henderson, in case Gurley goes down.
I was staring down Todd Gurley and Joe Mixon in my dynasty rankings, just going, can I really move Gurley below Mixon? And I couldn't do it, but I know, Andy, you did do it.
It was. I think Gurley's at 7 in my dynasty running back rankings, and there is a difference. So fantasy owners, here's the 2 scenarios that I see for Todd Gurley. You guys tell me if you agree. Scenario 1 is that Todd Gurley isn't back to full health and won't get back to full health and will play a platoon role. The other situation is simply that Todd Gurley is now a higher injury risk in general, but is back to full health, will be the lead dog, and they needed to invest in a running back because of the risk.
I lean that direction. That he will be back. He will be back to who he was, but
millions of dollars in the wallets of their owners. But I hope that's true.
What's crazy about that for fantasy, and this I'm talking redraft, when you're sitting there at pick number 3, and Todd Gurley is there, and you actually have hesitance about drafting him, and I won't blame you at all. That's going to be a very difficult thing to call your shot. Say, yep, Todd Gurley's fine. He's going to get all those goal line carries yet again, especially when they added Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson is really, really good.
Please draft as late as you can in a redraft league. If there was ever a situation where you need more information for as long as you can, this is it. Existing receiving core wasn't affected. They didn't take any wideouts in this draft.
Didn't need to.
No, they don't. Cooper Kupp coming back, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks. All right, let's move on to the 49ers. The 49ers spent their first pick on Nick Bosa and then went wide receiver in the second and third rounds, top of each round on Deebo Samuel.
Punter.
And then, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Hurd.
Those are two really good wide receivers. And
go ahead.
Keep in mind, Deebo Samuel was the third wide receiver taken in the draft. They could have they had their pick of just about anyone out there, and they saw what a lot of people see, which is Deebo is a great player. I mean, that's more draft capital spent here than what they spent on Dante Pettis. So the question is this negative for Dante Pettis?
It's negative for Marquise Goodwin.
Certainly.
Marquise Goodwin
agreed.
Has gone from fringe relevance to probably irrelevance at this point. Deebo Samuel is a good wideout. We neglected him in our rookie show. He was in our show, Doc. We just
Time.
We ended up, I think, talking about Isabella at the end, didn't talk about Deebo. A lot of people projected Deebo to go well below guys like DK Metcalf that went way after him. But I know he's a favorite of many. Jalen Hurd is he played in the slot a ton in college. He also played running back, only played 1 year at wide receiver. There's some opinion that I've read about Hurd being used in a kind of Cordero Patterson type of role in this offense.
So, kick returner?
Well, no. I mean, gadget player. I mean,
okay.
It's
just funny when I hear people use that comp. You're like,
it made sense.
Did not work out very well for Cordero.
No, I'm not talking early career Cordero.
All right.
I'm talking about last year with the Patriots, where he had the opportunity to take handoffs, to take little this and that. So I believe that Dante Pettis is an elite talent. And there's always a balance between putting more talent on a team and taking away from Pettis. I think it comes down to what is the confidence level that Jimmy Garoppolo and the team has in Dante Pettis. And if you believe, let's substitute, right? Like if, I don't know, the Giants, when they had Odell, had drafted Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd, you wouldn't think twice about those signings.
Not at all.
Correct.
Because a great talent demands great targets.
I mean, it's very similar to excuse me, Christian Kirk. I mean, Christian Kirk was a second-round pick last year, showed enough to the team and on film. You're like, this is a good player. He's going to be able to do things. He's interesting for fantasy. And then the team just came in and replenished the war chest with wide receivers. So, and I saw that as it's a negative for Christian Kirk. To me, this is a negative to Dante Pettis. I mean, the team could be better, but you for me, I'm moving Pettis down a couple clicks.
It's not to say that Pettis can't succeed. I think he has the talent to succeed. I think he will succeed, but the opportunity he has now is more difficult. But the big winner,
he'll be the one. He would have been the one before the draft, and he's the one after the draft. That's the only part to me that if he's on the field the same, you have some more talent around him, but he's not losing his wide receiver one spot.
I think the biggest winner in the whole situation, though,
Jimmy Garoppolo?
is Jimmy Garoppolo because Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd,
that's where we need to focus.
Those are good players, and maybe it doesn't happen year one and in their rookie year, but future-wise, I think Jimmy Garoppolo has some great weapons with Kyle Shanahan there. I really like what San Francisco did as far as you get the elite pass rusher and then you focus on your offense.
Would you move Jimmy G out based on this draft? Because if there's one thing that we haven't had any clarity on, and maybe that's starting to drip over into wide receivers, we don't know if it's Matt Breida or Jerick McKinnon or Tevin Coleman.
Sure.
We might not know if it's Deebo Samuel, Dante Pettis, or Jalen Hurd or Marquise Goodwin or George Kittle. But
we know it's Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, dynasty, I'll move him up. But short term, I mean, these are still rookies, so I'm not going to go crazy for the handsome one. Before we move off the team, though, do you know how old that punter is? Mitch Wisnowski?
No, I am not aware of the punter.
He was the punter selected in the fourth round?
He was the fourth-round selection.
Oh, he's in Utah. Oh, I know he went on his mission. He's probably 28.
He's 27 years old, and he got drafted. Mitch, you're my hero. Fourth round
Are you telling
punter?
me we can go back? Can we enter, Brooks?
27 was a bit ago now.
Look,
Shut up.
I can punt the ball at least 15 yards.
Impressive.
Jason was our punter on our flag team.
Yes, I was.
There's a 30. He got it up to 30 yards.
Mm-hmm.
With a forward roll, with a nice forward roll.
I've seen some shanks.
They were purposeful shanks.
More shanks than a prison cell.
I don't give,
Jason Moore.
I don't give a catchable ball.
All right, let's talk about
This is on purpose.
let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Winners and losers from this draft.
Their weight room.
The big
winner.
DK Metcalf and Gary Jennings Jr., two wideouts drafted in the the very end of the second round for Metcalf and the middle of the fourth round for Gary Jennings Jr. out of West Virginia. They also drafted a running back, did they not, in the sixth round? But who are the winners and losers on the Seahawks?
I mean, I think we do disagree about this, the way that we're seeing the rookie drafts go. I think Metcalf was a loser as far as rookie selections, going to a low-volume passing team. They're a run-first team. Schottenheimer, we've covered this ad nauseum. I think it was not the best landing spot for what Metcalf could have become and what everyone wanted him, what the draft Twitter wanted him to become.
Yeah, we're going to disagree there, dog, because I think while he dropped, and that's not good for your capital, I can't imagine.
It's Randy over here.
Yes, I can't imagine a much better landing spot because DK Metcalf, I don't see him being a 100 reception type player if he pans out. You know, one of those guys that's getting 150, 60 targets. He's not a possession guy. He's a deep threat, an amazing talent at what he can do, and so that's where I think you've got a player who's matching up perfect with Russell Wilson. You saw how valuable on low target volume Tyler Boyd was. If you're running around buying time, I can't imagine a better target to throw it over the mountains to than DK Metcalf. So touchdown-wise, I think that's where DK's fantasy value is going to come, and I think he matched up well to go to a team that might be losing Doug Baldwin.
I don't have the same opinion of Metcalf as I would have if this Baldwin news didn't come out. I think it matters a ton. And you have a situation here with Hollywood Brown, with A.J. Brown, with DK Metcalf, where low pass offenses drafted some of the best talent at the wide receiver position. So, would you take DK Metcalf over A.J. Brown? I would. Would you take DK Metcalf over Marquise Brown? I would. So in that situation with what's going on with Russell Wilson, I think you have opportunity. I think it obviously helps Russell Wilson to have been given a couple more weapons, but you're right. There were other homes that he could have gone to that would have made you happier.
Can we just say, I don't know, we haven't really discussed this, but I feel like as a whole, now not for every player out there, but if you just take the masses of the rookies that were drafted, this draft really sucked for them.
Yes.
Like all the players that I thought had a real chance to break out, they went to just piss-poor situations where it's like, that's really not where I want him going. And everybody I didn't like was like, oh, no, that's a really good spot.
Yeah.
Looking at you, David Montgomery.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting because I don't know if there's as much excitement around rookie drafts. I mean, we did two of them today. In two of our major leagues, we started them. There's a sense that there are a couple of names, N'Keal Harry and Josh Jacobs, that you're kind of sure about what's going on. But then there's this muddied middle where guys will emerge, but there's just not a lot to go on.
Yeah, I have Kyler Murray ranked very high in my for rookie drafts, and generally speaking, that does not happen with a quarterback because guys are just in such bad situations.
All right, it's time to move on to the NFC East. Brooks, your Cowboys. Cowboys didn't do a lot on the offensive side of the ball at all. A couple of handcuffs. Tony Pollard out of Memphis, running back, and seventh-round running back as well.
What's funny is
to me, the winners are Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb because you could have invested a third, fourth, fifth-round pick on a wide receiver to compete on the outside with Amari Cooper and Gallup and Cobb. Didn't do it. So, like for instance, if the Cowboys had drafted Andy Isabella, Randall Cobb is looking troubled.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say what's funny is I like Mike Weber more. I like their seventh-round running back more than Tony Pollard. That'll be very interesting to see who actually ends up as Ezekiel's direct
Handcuff
and his backup. I mean, draft capital says that things are very, very against Weber from Ohio State, but that's who I think it is right now.
And Pollard, he's everything I've seen about him is special
he's a
teams.
kick returner, right?
Yeah, he's going to immediately be our starting kick returner, it seems like. So that's what they drafted him for.
Yeah, I mean, the handcuff, I'm not worried in a redraft league.
No, but we're talking rookie drafts. Like, that's important for you to have. If you have Zeke and the way that the Cowboys
and a
run
third-round rookie pick, you would just get – you'd want to be targeting the –
I would.
And would you – go so far as to say you believe Weber will be that guy right now?
I do think he will be.
All right, the New York Giants, the football Giants, the Daniel Jones Giants.
Look. Hey, there was 10 teams that wanted Daniel Jones. It's me, Dave. Look, Daniel.
Hey, did you happen to see the meme?
Sitting 3 years. It's me, Dave.
Yeah, that was great, too. Dave Gettleman talking about the fact that they could take the model of him sitting 3 years. Do they know how old Eli Manning is? Here's the funny thing is, somebody said that Daniel Jones looks exactly like...
Oh, it was such a good tweet.
Exactly like a person cast to play Eli Manning in a movie.
Yes, it's so good.
And so Daniel Jones goes number 6.
Look, I don't blame... Gettleman's getting a lot of crap.
Yeah.
But if that's actually the guy that you want, and you think it's your franchise
then
quarterback,
trade down.
No, because somebody could grab. I mean, look, if you actually
10 teams,
if you actually believe it, you have to take that guy. I don't blame him for that. I blame him for the scouting. I don't agree that he's the guy. But he's also irrelevant. I think he plays the second half of this year. I do, because
he'll be winless at that point.
Right, exactly. But for fantasy purposes, he's. I mean,
yeah, Brooks put in Daniel Jones' agent as a winner from the draft. Sterling Shepard is a winner from the draft.
I guess he is.
You know, you had how many picks in this draft? 3 first-rounders, 2 fifth-rounders, and you didn't invest in a wide receiver until the 5th round. Shepard got paid, and now he didn't get supplanted by any of that top-end talent.
You could argue the same for Evan Ingram. You know, the fact that the splits with Evan Ingram with and without Odell Beckham have been really good for him. My worry here is
Golden
that
Tate, obviously.
I do think that Daniel Jones gets on the field. So I'm not ever worried too much about the second half of the season when I'm in a redraft. I'm looking much more at how we're going to get out of the gate. But if Daniel Jones comes in, it's to me for sure bad for all pass catchers. So I don't see this as a pure win for Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram if it turns out that their team is worse and then they get a rookie quarterback midway through the season.
Now, Brooks, if you were playing Eli like you planned this year as your dynasty starter, he's a loser in this draft as well, okay?
Dang it.
Yeah.
All right, so excited to play him.
I'm excited to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because despite having only 5 picks in this draft, there's a lot of fantasy implications.
Yes.
Second round, Miles Sanders, Penn State running back. One of the highest recruited running backs as he headed into Penn State was the backup to Saquon. Miles Sanders in the second round says, we're not going to rest on the Jordan Howard 5th round exchange. We're looking for a 3-down guy for multiple years. Miles Sanders, and then in this later, 4 picks later, they traded up for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, wide receiver out of Stanford. That makes Carson Wentz a winner to me. You get
Huge
Carson
winner.
Wentz a couple of weapons. Miles Sanders lands in a pretty good home.
I mean, look, the first pick you take one of the best pass-blocking offensive tackles in the draft. The second pick, you draft a running back that can catch passes out of Penn State. The third pick, you draft Sega Genesis, and you've got another great weapon who's kind of like an Alshon Jeffrey comp in the jump ball, touchdown, type of player. And so I think Carson Wentz is a huge winner in this draft. That was when I was watching the draft, every pick I just kept thinking, man, that's good for Wentz. Oh, that's good for Wentz.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Jordan Howard was a loser for fantasy owners that bought into him being traded to Philly. The way I would break it down right now is And one of my dynasty leagues, I'm a Jordan Howard owner. I drafted Miles Sanders with the 3rd pick in the rookie draft today. And I know in my heart that this is going to suck. Because Miles Sanders, I think, will see a lot of work. And I think Jordan Howard will steal a lot of touchdowns. And I think I'm going to be displeased. Now, it's very possible. Jordan Howard, is he in the final year of his deal?
Yes.
So this is that's a situation where this is why I rank Miles Sanders ahead of David Montgomery, which I know you guys are the opposite. But one of the reasons is I feel like the Philly offense, Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, starting next year as Miles Sanders could have earned himself a very strong 3-down role. Do you disagree with that possibility?
I disagree with the possibility of 3 down in the sense that there's such a committee and they're so committed to not using one single back. But I think they could work themselves down to being 2 backs. And, this is more an indictment in my view of – and you knew this before the draft. And before they got Jordan Howard, how much they wanted to upgrade their running back position. They were not happy with the Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, Josh Adams trifecta of guys off the street. They said, we've got to – they didn't trade much for Jordan Howard, who's a quality running back, and then they used the capital that they had to grab another quality running back. I think the offense is better, but I think it's going to be a 2-man show.
2-man show, that would be an upgrade, though.
Yes,
but the problem with the Eagles is it's been in 3-4 guys at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's why they invested in Sanders specifically, is because he has a more diverse skill set than other guys that they've had slotted in. And like you said, last year was tough to watch. Clement never did it. Josh Adams flashed little bits here and there. Let's talk about the Redskins. The Redskins grabbed Dwayne Haskins at 15. They grab a wide receiver, McLaurin, at the 12th pick of the 3rd round. Another running back, Bryce Love, in the 4th round, who they expect to be back by middle of training camp. Bryce Love probably would have gone. Where would he have gone a year ago? 2nd round?
2nd, probably.
Yeah, he hurt himself staying in school. Quit school, kids.
He hurt himself hurting himself.
Yeah, exactly. This is interesting to me that they have Darius Geis, who they invested very, very highly in Darius Geis, and I know he got hurt, but your plan is, okay, let's make sure we have insurance for our hurt guy.
With a hurt guy.
With a hurt guy.
No.
Well, for a value pick. It's a value pick.
The reality is the insurance for Darius Geis is Adrian Peterson. The insurance for Chris Thompson, the injured guy, was the injured guy. So they've got 3 injured guys at running back NAP.
3 injured guys equal 1 healthy guy.
Right. It's a smart move.
You just Voltron them
Here's
together.
the truth, though. This is not, to me, you try to read the tea leaves here. Early 4th round pick on Bryce Love. It just goes to reinforce the news, the percolating rumors of Darius Geis' very slow development back from injury. Only a few days ago, you got another report that he is moving slowly through this. This is why. What have they done? Here's their confidence level in Darius Geis' return for fantasy owners. Let's pay Adrian Peterson. Let's draft Bryce Love in the 4th round. That's all we have. So I would not be enthusiastic for this offense, one that is currently led by either Haskins or Keenum or Colt McCoy, with 3 different running backs, with a myriad of kind of wide receivers we don't know who's going to emerge. This offense is going to struggle. That is my concern.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Who's the loser is the Washington Redskins for the immediate future.
Josh Doxson.
I think that over the long run, if Dwayne Haskins pans out, if he's the guy and Geis gets healthy and Bryce Love gets healthy, and you could have something down the line. I didn't love what they did at wide receiver. They needed help. They drafted one, but not,
Not your favorite?
Not in my top 15.
Who starts week 1 for Washington?
Quarterback?
Keenum.
No,
Ooh.
punter, Mike.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you meant running back. There's a lot of questions for this football team.
Who starts at quarterback?
Haskins.
Who did you say, Jay?
I said Keenum. Break the tie.
Oh, goodness.
McCoy.
Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins. Playing for his life. Gruden's playing for his life.
Yes.
All right, the Bears. The Bears only had 5 picks in this draft, but we got stuff to talk about here, boys. David Montgomery. None of us were huge Montgomery fans.
I am now.
Third round.
I mean, I've said this so many times before. I will take opportunity over talent 100 out of 100 times. And that's not to say David Montgomery isn't talented, but just right before the draft, I talked about I don't see what a lot of other people see. I know he's well-rounded. It can do a little bit of everything.
Breaks a lot of
I
tackles.
had in my notes that if a team were to invest heavily in him, I think he would be great, and I don't think a team is going to do that. A team did that because similar to what you were bringing up with other teams trading up and they didn't have their first pick, the Bears were – they had interview after interview after interview with all the running backs, multiple interviews with the same guys. So they clearly were showing their hands that they were looking at a running back, except they didn't have enough picks. Like they had so few picks in this draft that I did not think they were going to be able to do it. And then they used extra to trade up to get David Montgomery, who has then been given the Kareem Hunt comp by Matt Nagy, who used Kareem Hunt as a well-rounded back. And I think Montgomery comes in right off the bat with 250 touches and is the main
It doesn't matter what we think about him before if Matt Nagy thinks he's everything.
Exactly.
And that's what we're trying to relate to you. Yeah, no, he has a great opportunity in Chicago. You know, they jettisoned Jordan Howard, wasn't a fit. David Montgomery, they feel like is a fit, current regime.
Mike Davis, that was fun.
He's a big loser.
Sorry, Mike Davis, Malcolm Brown, those are your offseason losers. Those are those guys on that fringe, right? Chris Warren. Remember when we talked about Chris Warren in Oakland?
I tried.
Forget about it.
Not to.
Forget about it. One Isaiah Crowell and one Josh Jacobs later and Chris Warren. Don't even – just drop him.
Yeah. Well, if you're in a super deep dynasty league, also drop him.
You know what I'm going to do?
Oh, you've got him on your team, right?
I'm going to drop him right now.
On air.
Oh,
Chris Warren.
That is a rage drop because you can't even pick anyone up.
That's right. I'm going to take care of that.
Okay, picking up Chris Warren.
Have fun, Mike.
Go ahead. But no, that's the reality of the draft. If you are investing in a low, I mean, this happens with wideouts too. You know, Jake Kumaro, all the dynasty rage. But if Green Bay had drafted 3 or 4 wideouts, you wouldn't have
draft
thought
capital
about
matters. That's why it was incredibly sad to see 2 of my lower tier running backs that I liked. I knew it was tougher for them, but Alex Barnes and Air Boobie Williams were both undrafted. And my heart broke.
I do want to confirm that I just verified he did in fact drop Chris Warren.
He has been dropped. I cannot leave Chicago without asking the question that maybe should have kind of been part of the Montgomery discussion to begin with. Turok.
Right.
What happens to Cohen? Because Cohen had this seemingly big opportunity. Jason, you just said David Montgomery has 250 touches. Those two do not compute.
I think they can compute. I mean, I actually statted them out already. And if you look, Tariq is not a guy who gets a ton of carries. And so if he's a guy that's going to be getting, 100, 150 carries and then used in the passing game, I think he'll be about what he was last year, which was serviceable at times, disappointing at times. But I do think David Montgomery will be the predominant guy in the timeshare.
Yeah, I agree. Cohen will be okay, but Montgomery is going to be great.
All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Used their first-round pick right where I thought they would. T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, you got
By
it.
the way, we didn't even update that.
No, nothing to update.
Nothing to look at
Nothing
here.
to see here.
I actually won our rookie predictions.
Yeah.
I had 4 correct. You guys had 2 each. So if you add your scores up together, you tied me.
Yeah, that was only on the back of Dave Gettleman. I hope you're happy with yourself.
It's me.
If Dave Gettleman had drafted Josh Allen, clearly who he should have drafted at number 6, then T.J. Hawkinson would have gone to the Jags at 7, where I had him going. But then they're like, Josh Allen's here.
Yeah, Sim Butts for candy and nuts.
So we're tied
Jason.
at 3-3 in my world.
Right. Yeah, your world is always very Jason favored.
Yes, it is.
T.J. Hawkinson to Detroit.
Oh, there was breaking news about that. He's expected to be the starter week 1.
Yeah, he is.
The number 8 pick in the NFL draft. Expected to be used right off the bat.
You know who
For a
wins?
team that needs tight end.
That's good.
He's
Good
such
idea.
a good blocker and such a good pass catcher. He will be an immediate weapon on an offense that needs them. He will also be an asset to Kerryon Johnson,
Yes,
who I
he's
think
a
is
huge
another winner in this draft because he gets a great blocking tight end and didn't have another running back drafted.
It's the year of Kerryon. Get ready.
Wow.
I'm
The
just saying,
year?
prepare yourselves.
Okay, all right.
Preparion?
You talking about my guy?
Don't you do that.
Oh, dude, it's Andy's guy. No. I heard it.
No, even Brooks shaking his head no over there.
I would look Jesse James, who was an offseason pickup. He's a big loser in Detroit. Otherwise, you could make the argument that they didn't do a lot else to address the passing game, but Hawkinson is a big one. And from a dynasty perspective, I think he's a very valuable tight end.
Dynasty, he's already a top 12 tight end.
Yeah, I have him at like 8 or 9.
Yeah, and you could argue Marvin Jones is a winner here because getting
Yeah,
up there in
that's a solid
age,
point,
they had
yeah.
gone on and used early capital on one of these wide receivers. He could start looking like he's being shown the door.
All right, let's get to Green Bay. Green Bay, well, not a lot to look at. They did spend a third-round pick. They were one of the teams rumored to need a tight end, maybe in the Noah Fant sweepstakes.
They needed one last year.
And they got Mary Steenburgen. Is that who it was? Emmett! Emmett!
Jace Steinbrenner.
Stop doing that to Jace.
Did you just call him Steinberg?
Yes,
Isn't it Steinbrenner?
Steinbrenner. Remember the
Okay.
owner of the
Third-round pick, though, Jace Sternberger. Do we think that he will have some relevance? Running back Dexter Williams, also drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah. Sternberger will, not this year, but I think Sternberger's a good player, and he'll be serviceable.
Yeah.
Once they realize that Jimmy Graham just let him off to pasture.
I think they realized that. I think that's why they were so. I mean, between Hawkinson and Fant, most mock drafts had them taking a tight end because they completely realized. They realized that. I mean, Jimmy Graham is not the answer at tight end, and they need an answer. You're right to point out that it's going to take a couple years for Sternberger. He's not going to come in rookie year and dominate.
Sternberger.
And so but in a dynasty league.
What a burger.
I think, he'll be in the 3rd round, a late guy that I think you could hold on to and stash for a couple years.
Sternberger will start next year. Jimmy Graham will be gone.
I can only hope for the Whataburger nickname. I want that in there. What a catch, Whataburger. Come on.
Okay, it's there.
It's there. We'll work through it.
Yeah,
we've got time.
We got to wait till he
Flame
does
broiled. Yeah, he has to earn it like Disley did.
Oh, goodness. Big Montana?
He came out of nowhere, got himself a nickname. That's all I'm saying. All right, if your name is Geronimo Allison, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Equanimeous St. Brown, they didn't go get another big wide receiver. I was surprised. There were opportunities for Green Bay to do that, and they didn't.
And the reason they did not do that is because they're fine there. I mean, they've got a good up-and-coming core of wide receivers. I think that the biggest winner to me of those up-and-coming players is going to be Geronimo Allison. I believe he is very talented. He's got a great rapport with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers loves him. He was off to a hot start in the beginning of last year with him until the injury. They didn't go out and replace any of the wide receivers. So all of them are big winners in this year's draft because they get another year with Rodgers to step into the offense. But I think Allison's the guy I'm most excited about.
All right, the Minnesota Vikings, sound the alarms. Kyle Rudolph's time may be coming to a close.
Yep, it is.
Irv Smith Jr., a 2nd-round tight end draft pick out of Alabama by the Vikings. That's kind of the headline there. There was they did draft Alexander
Madison. This is
he
a
is
legit
the handcuff for
Yes.
Dalvin Cook.
This is something you need to pay attention to. If I have Dalvin Cook, who is thus far shown himself very prone to getting hurt, Alexander Madison would be a primary target for me. I would expect you don't have to pay like a huge price for him, but back in the 2nd round, you're going to want to think about it. He's from Boise State. You
liked him.
I really, really liked Madison. He won me over by the end because he can do everything, and I think that he's one of those just super tough dudes who, if Dalvin Cook went down, everyone would freak out for Alexander Madison. So just make sure you're prepared.
And I would throw out that he could have relevance. He's not just strictly a handcuff.
Sure,
Latavius
that too.
Murray had relevance there even when Dalvin Cook was there. So if they timeshare at all or use him, around the goal line, I don't expect him to be a star. Certainly not with Dalvin Cook, but he could be relevant. He's one of those guys you could draft as a handcuff because he could be an option in your flex later. But I think the big winner here in Minnesota is clearly Kirk Cousins. You spend your first 4 picks on offense, you get a center, you get a guard, and you get a tight end. You're protecting the line, and the tight end in Irv Smith is a great downfield weapon.
If you're going to spend all that money on those wideouts, you better have a quarterback that's upright to throw to them. Atlanta. Let's talk about Atlanta. They interesting draft. Matt Ryan looks like a winner for the same reason Kirk Cousins is. Guard, tackle, first 2 picks.
In the first round.
You could also say Devonta Freeman looks like a winner. No high investment on another running back. You got Ito Smith and Devonta Freeman.
It will be that. It will be Freeman and Ito Smith, and these are some good linemen, in my opinion, that they drafted. This is a huge sign of confidence that in Devonta Freeman by the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm not necessarily going to move Freeman up, but just solidifies.
You take a deep breath.
Solidifies the offseason feelings of that the team is already fully invested in him. They don't need to move on, and they're not.
I would say Quadri Olison, running back taken. He gives me a little bit of pause from calling Ito Smith a winner because he could come in and say, like Ito Smith, make no mistake, he could be okay, but he sucked. He was terrible last year. He was a very big disappointment for the Falcons. They go out and draft the running back. You needed to for depth. But my point is, I believe he can come in and just win that job and be the backup. So I don't see this as a huge win for Ito, but definitely Devonta Freeman and Matt Ryan. I know we've had some arguments over where Matt Ryan should finish, but so far the last couple weeks have gone really well for him with the schedule coming out, the domes that he's playing in, now the offensive line, 2 first-rounders on the offensive line, which was very necessary. Those things are just good for the whole offense.
All right, the Carolina Panthers. Winners and losers. To me, the big winners on this roster, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel's probably the biggest winner of them all because he has an opportunity to stay at the wide receiver 2 position, and he is a very explosive player. In limited touches, Curtis Samuel had fantasy relevance last year. I think he may be one of those sleeper type of guys that ends up in our ultimate draft kit because someone has to catch the ball there. Devin Funchess is gone. It can't just be Christian McCaffrey. And if you think it's just DJ Moore, you better move him up your rankings because Moore, Samuel, McCaffrey, that's going to be their offense.
No, I agree completely. Samuel is a great sleeper option. I would, if you're out there, go try to trade for him in Dynasty because I think a lot of people, even that have Samuel, don't realize how good he was last year, which was essentially his rookie year. If he becomes the one, I wouldn't expect that, but I certainly would not be surprised if he becomes a primary target as opposed to DJ Moore.
Last season, he had 5 touchdowns, 500 yards receiving on 40 receptions, and has an opportunity to level up. And you know how old Curtis Samuel is?
12.
He is 22 years old.
How is this possible?
DJ Moore is 22 years old. So they've got 2, what is that, August? All right, DJ Moore's older. No, he's not. Curtis Samuel is older by half a year. But, you've got 2 super young studs, and if Cam Newton comes back with a shoulder in place, then there's an opportunity there. He is he can turn some heads.
They also grabbed just undrafted real quick Elijah Holyfield from Georgia, who is the son of Evander Holyfield.
Is it son or is he? I think he was like nephew or something.
No, I'm looking.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not realize he was son. He must be a good puncher.
Keep your fist to yourself, man. Just be a running back.
I'll bet he's got a good stiff arm.
Oh, there you go.
I actually did watch. No joke. When I was watching him, I was watching for that, and he like punches with it. I'm not even joking. He like punches his stiff arm out, and I thought I was like, is this legal? No joke.
It is for him.
Yeah.
All right, the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints only had 5 picks in this draft. 5. They did invest in a center. They had to.
Yes.
They had to. The surprise retirement. So they did grab a center in Eric McCoy. I would say the existing wide receiver core, the people there, they're winners. I don't know if Drew Brees is a winner in this draft because I felt like they needed some help at the wide receiver position outside of Michael Thomas. You're going to have to see Traquan Smith is a winner.
They're counting on Traquan taking a step.
Ted Ginn?
Yeah, he's still there.
All right, Tampa Bay. Moving on to Tampa Bay. This was an interesting draft because it was entirely on defense.
Which has a lot of big winners for fantasy, a lot. The fact that they did not add a bunch of wide receivers or quality running backs to this team says that guys like Chris Godwin, huge winner here. They're saying, we believe in you, Justin Watson. You guys can get the job done.
Yeah, another sleeper candidate, Justin Watson.
They vacated a lot of targets with Humphreys leaving, with Deshaun Jackson leaving. And then, look, I know I've never been a fan of Ronald Jones, but they believe Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber can get the job done. Now, I'm going to think it's Peyton Barber, but the opportunity for Ronald Jones to step up is certainly there now.
It is also important to note they drafted yet another place kicker. So the Aguayo days are over.
Oh, man.
But they did spend a 5th-round pick on Matt Gay out of Utah. So these kickers, if you go to Utah and you're a kicker,
it's the place to be.
How old is this guy?
35.
Vet this thing. See if he's 27 too.
I will.
These 27-year-old kickers getting drafted. I didn't know about this when I was young. Got an extra 5 years to refine your skills before you have to graduate.
No age given.
No age?
That means he's probably in his 40s.
He's in his 40s.
25.
Oh, okay. That's still old for a rookie. I just talked about Curtis Samuel going into year 3. He's 22 years old. Winners and losers.
He is actually market price. That's his age.
Okay. We talked about it. Watson, Godwin, Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber as well.
Yes.
And that does it for the NFC, guys. Anybody I'm forgetting? Anything you want to mention before we move on?
Leonard Fournette's a big winner.
We haven't gotten
there. We will
there.
get into that on Thursday. We will also announce the winners.
Williams.
We will announce the winners of our big giveaway, the ultimatedraftkit.com giveaway. We had a pre-order special we were doing, and we have the names of the winners. Those will be announced on Thursday, so hang tight. You might see those on social media popping up here
soon. Might be
soon.
your name.
Could be. Well, somebody won.
Well, it could.
Somebody won. That's how
true.
giveaways work. So we'll go ahead and jump into the deal of the day.
Pristine deal of the day.
Oh, come on now. What? Dante Pettis signed jersey, pristineauction.com, $36.85. A signed 49er jersey, Dante Pettis.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that is truly like...
This seems chicken and the egg when we talk about Dante Pettis sometimes because I am an owner in Dynasty of Dante Pettis.
As am I.
I am an owner of Dante Pettis in Dynasty because of watching Dante Pettis play football last year. Then I went out and got him. It is not my bullish nature on Pettis isn't on the basis of I hope he's good. It's he's really good, and then you go get him. That's why I believe he's a number one. I think it's kind of crazy you can go get a jersey for $36, though.
Yeah, you go to Pristine Auction and steal jerseys from people that have been signed by him for $36. That's a good deal. Hey, make a completely free account. It's free to bid. You only pay if you win, so spend $36 on a signed jersey.
Yeah, there's hundreds every day, too. pristineauction.com. That is it for today's show. Remember to check out ballerslive.com. Go get tickets to come see this show live. We want to see you. We want to meet you.
Chicago, New York, San Francisco, LA, and Phoenix. We'll see you on Thursday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.